Good day, welcome to Pinoy Power Books. Today we will listen and learn from the book, Ego is the Enemy, by Ryan Holiday. Introduction. The Battle with Ego. In Ego is the Enemy, Ryan Holiday explores how the ego, our inflated sense of self-importance, can become our greatest obstacle. Through history and real-life examples, he illustrates how destructive the ego can be in various stages of life: aspiration, success, and failure. Holiday argues that the key to mastery, achievement, and personal peace is taming this ego. The book is split into 3 parts: aspire, success, and failure, each representing different stages in life where ego can emerge and sabotage our growth. The message is clear: the path to achieving true greatness lies not in feeding our egos, but in staying humble, grounded, and constantly focused on learning and improving. Part 1. Aspire. Keep your ego in check while pursuing your dreams. The first section, Aspire, deals with the period in our lives when we are striving toward a goal or dream. It's during this phase that ego can cloud our judgment and block our progress by making us think we're more talented, deserving, or advanced than we actually are. Holiday urges the reader to remain focused on the work, not on the image of success. Talk less, do more. Ego often manifests as a desire to talk about our plans before we've even done the work. Many people fall into the trap of discussing their aspirations, feeling the satisfaction of having talked about it, and then losing the drive to actually pursue them. Holiday stresses the importance of silence and action. Talking about your goals gives you the illusion of progress. Doing the work quietly and diligently leads to real results. Be a student, not an expert. When we aspire to greatness, ego makes us believe that we are already experts. This blinds us to the need for continual learning. Holiday references historical figures like General Sherman and Genghis Khan, who, despite their massive achievements, were always eager to learn and improve. To achieve greatness, you must approach life as a student, not as someone who has already mastered everything. By doing this, you remain open to new knowledge and growth. Know your purpose. Holiday warns against chasing success just for the sake of it, as this is a path dictated by ego. True aspiration is rooted in a deep sense of purpose, not in the accolades or attention that success brings. He argues that when you're driven by something greater than yourself, you'll stay focused and grounded. Key lesson: don't let ego get in the way of your aspirations. Stay humble, stay focused on the work, and never think you've arrived. Ego will push you to seek recognition before you've earned it, but the antidote is continuous learning and quiet, deliberate action. Part 2. Success, maintaining humility in times of achievement. The second section, Success, explores how ego can be even more dangerous when we have achieved some level of success. This is when people are most vulnerable to complacency, overconfidence, and the belief that they are untouchable. Holiday warns that success can blind us and lead to our downfall if we allow ego to inflate. Stay grounded. When we experience success, our ego makes us feel invincible. We start to believe that we deserve all the success and that we are superior to others. Holiday argues that success should not be a reason to stop working or improving. Instead, we must continue to challenge ourselves and remain grounded, knowing that the same factors that led to our success can change or disappear. Detach from validation. Success often brings external validation, praise, awards, recognition, but Holiday stresses the importance of not becoming attached to it. When you seek validation from others, you become dependent on their opinions to feel good about yourself. Instead of letting external validation feed your ego, focus on intrinsic motivation and the internal satisfaction that comes from doing the work itself. Resist entitlement. Ego makes us feel entitled to success or special treatment once we've achieved something. Holiday points out that entitlement is dangerous because it leads to complacency. He shares the story of Howard Hughes, a man who was once on top of the world, but whose entitlement and ego led him into isolation and mental collapse. The lesson is clear: success doesn't entitle you to anything. You must continue to work hard, stay humble, and resist the urge to believe you're owed anything. The power of humility. One of the most powerful tools against ego is humility. Humility reminds us that no matter how successful we become, there is always more to learn and achieve. Holiday cites the example of Bill Belichick, the legendary football coach, who despite his success, remains humble and never stops striving to improve. For Belichick, It's about the process, not the accolades. Key lesson. Success can be a breeding ground for ego. The more success you achieve, the more you must guard against becoming overconfident, entitled, or complacent. Stay humble, keep learning, and don't let success define who you are. Part 3. Failure, how ego responds to setbacks. The final section, Failure, explores how ego responds to challenges and setbacks. According to Holiday, when we fail, our ego often goes into overdrive, either by blaming others or by refusing to acknowledge the failure. However, it is through failure that we learn the most about ourselves, and humility during these times can lead to growth and future success. Learning from failure. Ego makes failure feel devastating because it attacks our sense of self-worth. Instead of acknowledging failure as part of the learning process, ego encourages us to deny it, avoid it, or blame external factors. Holiday suggests that instead of letting ego dominate our response to failure, we should see failure as an opportunity for growth and learning. History is filled with examples of great figures, from Thomas Edison to Steve Jobs, who used failure as fuel for future success. Don't take failure personally. One of the key points Holiday makes is that failure does not define who we are. Failure is simply an event, not a reflection of our value as individuals. By removing our ego from the equation, we can objectively analyze what went wrong and how to fix it. If we take failure personally, we're likely to be consumed by it and miss the valuable lessons it has to offer. Cultivate resilience. Ego wants us to give up when things get hard. But true resilience comes from perseverance, not from clinging to our ego. Holiday cites the story of Abraham Lincoln, who experienced numerous failures before becoming one of America's greatest presidents. Lincoln's ability to detach his ego from his failures allowed him to keep moving forward, even when the odds were stacked against him. Resilience is built by accepting setbacks and continuing to push forward without letting ego dictate our response. Don't be ruled by fear. Ego often creates fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing status. This fear can paralyze us and prevent us from taking necessary risks. Holiday encourages readers to recognize that ego feeds fear and that by diminishing the ego, we free ourselves from its control. The path to success requires courage, and courage is only possible when we don't let ego-induced fear hold us back. Key lesson. Failure is a natural part of life, and ego only makes it harder to navigate. Instead of letting ego inflate our fear of failure or denial of responsibility, we should embrace failure as a learning opportunity, stay resilient, and keep pushing forward. Ego is the enemy in history. Lessons from great leaders. Throughout the book, Holiday supports his arguments by using historical examples of individuals who either succumbed to their ego or overcame it. These stories illustrate the impact of ego on both personal and professional success. Some of the most notable examples include George Marshall, the famous American general who led efforts during World War II. George Marshall exemplified humility and service to a cause greater than himself. Despite his significant contributions, he never sought glory or recognition for his efforts, allowing his work to speak for itself. Marshall's story highlights the power of subordinating ego in favor of focusing on what truly matters. Katharine Graham, the publisher of the Washington Post, Graham's journey is an example of overcoming self-doubt and resisting the urge to allow ego to take over. She inherited her role in an industry dominated by men and faced immense challenges, but her willingness to learn and remain humble allowed her to steer the paper through critical moments in history, including the Watergate scandal. Graham's legacy shows how self-awareness and a lack of ego can lead to immense influence and success. John Wooden. Legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden is used as an example of a leader who prioritized preparation, teamwork, and discipline over personal fame. Wooden's refusal to allow ego to dominate his coaching style led to one of the most successful records in college basketball history. His story reminds us that focusing on the process, not the outcome, is a key ingredient to long-term success. Key lesson. History is full of individuals who achieved greatness not because of their ego, but in spite of it. These examples show that when we put the greater good ahead of our personal ambitions and stay humble, we're more likely to make a lasting impact. The antidote to ego. Humility, purpose, and hard work. The main argument of ego as the enemy is that humility, purpose, and hard work are the true antidotes to ego. Throughout the book, Holiday encourages readers to stay humble. Recognize that no matter how much we achieve, there is always more to learn and more work to do. Humility keeps us grounded and connected to reality. Focus on a higher purpose. True success comes not from pursuing ego-driven goals like fame or money, but from focusing on something greater than ourselves, whether it's contributing to society, mastering a craft, or making a positive impact on the world. Embrace the process. Success is not about reaching a final destination, it's about continuously improving and working hard. Holiday emphasizes that the journey is where growth happens, and we must embrace the hard work and discipline that come with it. Conclusion. Ego is the true enemy. In the conclusion of Ego is the enemy, Holiday reinforces the idea that ego is our greatest internal obstacle. Whether we are aspiring to greatness, experiencing success, or facing failure, ego is always waiting to undermine our progress by making us arrogant, entitled, fearful, or blind to reality. Holiday's message is clear. To succeed in life, we must be vigilant in keeping our ego in check. By cultivating humility, focusing on a higher purpose, and embracing continuous learning and hard work, we can avoid the traps that ego sets and achieve lasting success. Ultimately, the enemy is not external forces, other people, or circumstances, it is our own ego. And the battle against it is one we must fight every day if we are to reach our full potential. Thank you for listening to Pinoy Power Books channel. Please like, share and subscribe for future contents.